Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Ears to the East. That was the most radio friendly I could do. That. What are you doing with your hands, Neon?
It's an E.
You're you're not in a gang. This is not a gang. Or is it?
Gotta start ears to the East Coast.
Yeah. We question golf and apparently have to be careful not to mention S Club 7 as much as we do. But anyway,
Why golf?
Yeah, we got some random things keep on coming up in our conversations now. So anyway, well, today we're talking about something a bit more general. This was a topic that came up in a conversation. Actually, when I was doing a Twitch stream on my main channel, my other channel, the other night, and we were watching a couple of songs that were like live recordings, and they came from a DVD. And the conversation came up of like, okay, so there are bands who edit their live shows for DVD, and there's always going to be a degree of that. I mean, for a start, you almost have two mixing desks, whether this be done at the time or later, but you have the mixing desk, which is to make sure the music sounds good in the room for people who are aggregated in different locations. And then you've got like the mix that you give for the people who are listening at home, where basically they take all the exact same sounds and then re-level them to be optimal for someone sitting at home. That's fine. That's a good use. You're not changing anything. It's all good. You're just changing how loud the individual sounds are. It doesn't stop it being live. But then you have some things where apparently there is some editing done, which could be considered somewhat heavy-handed, an attempt to correct for things, an attempt to clean up and polish areas that were not perfect. Now, I've got a few examples that I wanted to get into. But I just kind of wanted first of all, I wanted your opinion on this, whether you'd seen this, whether you had any thoughts on it. I guess everyone basically agrees that there is a line where this is good or not good.
Yeah. I'm definitely one that falls into that. I'm at some point, if it's edited too much, at some point it becomes more of a fucking edit than a live show. And I think if any kind of, especially if it's like these ones are going to like Blu-ray DVDs and stuff like that, like if that ever becomes, it gets to that point, then you failed. Then the cameraman needs sacking. Now, I love how you touched on editing for music as well, and I'm gonna raise you to that one. I'm gonna say that I think editing of the camera is just as important.
Oh, I like that. That's interesting. Okay.
Because I've seen some shows where like some of the camera work is absolutely spot on. And
what would you consider to be spot on camera work, though?
Personally,
what do you want it to look like?
Personally, I like long shots, long sustained shots. I like the camera to be pretty fucking still, and I like to focus on, like, if it's focusing on a member, it needs to be, at least for me personally, it needs to be in that 15 to 20 seconds sweet spot.
That's a long. That
is quite a long time in terms of edit. Yeah. But I think that's the sweet spot. I think again, just off the top of my head, I think the Bang Dream Blu-rays do a really good job of that.
I'm gonna raise you. We're gonna do an experiment.
Oh, we're gonna keep raising each other.
All right, we're gonna sit in silence for 20 seconds, starting from 20 seconds starts now. That was 20 seconds. That's how long you're that is a long hold.
That is a long time. So I did say 15 seconds to 20 seconds. You know, you always have to go for the longest one, didn't you?
That's extreme. Well, you have to go for the longest one. There was another.
The 20 seconds is definitely on the longest. But yeah, I like that. I again, this is personal preference. This is purely subjective. Yeah, but I personally like that personal sustained shot. There's some concerts for me, the concerts I personally don't like, and ones I don't like to watch again, is when it's fucking over edited. And I mean, like, you know, cameras like, we're here, boom, kneecap, boom,
And
lights.
sometimes you'll have the ones where they'll put like lyrics and like fake flares and stuff on the screen. You're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it's literally just like, here's the guitar, here's someone's kneecap, here's an elbow, here's the lead singer's face, here's their shoes, here's the stage, here's a random clown member, here's this person, and I'm just like,
random. I think you accidentally said a random clown member. I was going like
I was meant to say random band
clown.
member, but that's how they get you. That's how they get you. It's,
okay.
it's with that sudden shot of a clown in the middle of the shot.
Like a It sequel where it's just like you're watching like a bandmate show and then just suddenly there's like fucking what's his face in the crowd. Okay, I mean, I'm just going to quickly say that I think I sit somewhere in agreement. Like there are a lot of things I really hate. Like for me, like any footage of a live show that you sell as a DVD, okay, I'm okay with color correction, you know, making sure that the color between all the cameras looks consistent from different angles. Kind of like I am with the sound. I don't mind you basically doing it so it looks optimal but not fake. My issue is you get some where they do all kinds of stuff. Like I don't like it, the cutting too fast. I agree. I think, you know, probably I'd say each shot hold it for 1, 2, 3 seconds, you know, longer second if it's a slower song. I don't mind if it's like, I don't mind like that. That's fine by me. But the thing, one of the ones I really hate is fake shaky cam. They do that on live, like I've seen that live shows, and it's like a shaky cam, and you're like, okay, you're trying to look like you're in the audience, but it looks fake as fuck. And then like, no, I hate that because it's like you know that there's not someone standing there with a big TV camera in the audience going, oh. So yeah, I agree. Fakery, it's kind of the same with the videos with the audio. Yeah, fakery is just you don't want to feel like you're being tricked.
Yeah,
it's like,
true.
just show me the show. Just show me the show.
I think for some DVDs as well, I personally like mistakes in DVDs. And this is really a weird one because like I think like if you're making a DVD, I think mistakes are sort of frowned upon. That like no, it needs to be perfect because you're selling this product. So I kind of understand it from that point that they want to make this the best product because you know you're buying it with your money. I kind of get that. They want it to be an enjoyable experience, but
it's a live show.
Yeah, I much prefer having
perfect,
mistakes
you listen to the studio version.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I much prefer having the mistakes in there, the couple of off notes and stuff like that. Which again, I'm coming back full circle here. There is a method to the madness. That there's a lot of edited DVDs that I don't really like because I've heard like the live versions, heard the mistakes, heard the fuck ups, the awful sound at some stages, and then it's come out on Blu-ray couple of months later or DVD or whatever, and the sound has been so overly edited that all those mistakes that were there are not there. The crowd noise is like artificially put on, which I don't like, and then it just sounds like it just basically comes across as like the studio version with a few added extra crowd noises, and I'm like, just why? I don't get that.
Well, the reason we were talking about this subject today, not because they're responsible for this, but because we were obviously, this subject came up after we started talking about the fact that Love Bites have been advertised and they've got their like live Blu-ray DVD coming up. And I think this is an interesting example of a band who are so tight that they're an interesting example because when you see them live or when you hear them live, you expect it to be nearly perfect. But when it's nearly perfect, or even if there's not a single note missed, there is a difference between when you're in the studio and you have infinite takes and when you do it live. Like when you do it in the studio, you can record it so every note is to the millisecond. And this is kind of how you look at it because you're looking at the waveforms. You can get it to the millisecond right. And if you're less talented, you could quantize and do that anyway. But when you play live, you could get everything perfect, but it's just the fact that it's just not quite as perfect as a studio. That's kind of what you're going for. Even if the bands you love doesn't really make any mistakes, you want to enjoy the fact there's just that feeling that, yes, it sounds like, even with a brilliant band, it sounds like something that clearly was done spontaneously. It was not obsessed over. This is just what they sound like as them, and that's what you want from a live. That's the point of a live DVD.
I feel like as well, if you're and like let me start from the beginning. If anybody is a music lover and you've seen live shows, you know from personal experience, seeing a band, as fun as it is, it's never as perfect as what they sound like on the record. Or
but you don't want it to be. Let's be honest. You don't want it to be.
It can be close, but it's never perfect, which is part and parcel of the charm of going to see a band live, because you want those fuck ups and over the top enthusiasm and all sorts.
Sorry. So yeah, Gakra.
He's just flexing now. He's just like.
they put one of their shows like completely free of charge live on YouTube. I think it was only for a limited time, but they put that show up, and I was kind of impressed because when I looked at it, I was like, okay, there are plenty of songs where there's little moments where they sound quite loose, like nothing is full on wrong, but there's some bits where it's like, oh wow, that's really kind of loose, and they got a lot of members, so bits where it sounds quite baggy. But it's just so charming because you're like, wow, you're actually performing this song where all of those members are going at such different instruments and such different like lines of melody and rhythm you have, and you're putting it all together. And so in a way, when the studio, you expect it to be perfect because it's like you've got like weeks to work on this. But when you hear it live, it's just like, wow, I'm just amazed you're doing it. I'm just amazed you're doing it. And that's the charm for me, is it's the spectacle of them just doing it.
Yeah. Maybe an unpopular opinion for me as well, but I always like it when the mix is like just slightly fucked up.
I can see that.
And I mean that in the best of ways, because I like the shows where like the mix is just a tiny little bit off, and you hear somebody in a band that you don't really hear that much. Like again, there's just an example. I can't remember the show off the top of my head, but there was a Band-Maid concert, and Kaname was really low in the mix for some strange reason. Miku was like way overly high, and Misa as well was just like clear as fucking day. Now, all in all, it wasn't the perfect fucking mix. Far from it. It was pretty fucking atrocious, in all fairness. But just for that one kind of concert, hearing Misa like so fucking clearly, like just front and center, where she's probably third, I would say, in the mix behind Miku and Kaname.
You better do some post-recording research, because I assure you there's going to be a lot of fans like, which live show? Tell me which one.
There'll be people in the comments that know. I know which one.
They'll probably work it out.
Yeah, they'll work it out. There's another concert as well that comes to mind, which is completely off topic between the two things we talked about a little bit. But horny cameramen, again, people will know the concert that I'm thinking of. I think it's Scandal. Off the top of my head.
God, yeah.
But there's one concert in particular. Again, I cannot remember the names of the concerts. I'm so sorry. I'm awful at that. But people coming from my channel in the comments will know which one it is, because we had a fucking right laugh at it. But there was one concert we watched with Scandal, which was like the most horniest cameraman ever, and I think it was Scandal. And she had like a dress, and she was.
Is this early Scandal? Or
I think it was like really early Scandal, if I remember rightly.
The school outfits one.
Yeah, something like that. And
I'm so glad they've thrown away from that.
This cameraman was at the front, so he had like all the good shots and stuff like that. But it was funny, hilarious, because the camera just kept going down towards, like, blatantly trying to get those shots, but trying to make it look like, as subtle as possible, but failing.
We get there attractive without you having to like sort of do your slow creepo pan.
The slow creepo pan, but we had an absolute ball. So like, somebody in the comments, seriously, if you're from my channel, comment down below. Let me know. Remember what concert that is, because I'm awful with DVD names.
We were actually, I mean, this is actually when I was talking about earlier about how this came up from our Twitch discussion. That was actually from looking at a Scandal video. I mean, I've said so many times that I think Scandal are like the biggest disparity between a band of such incredible quality who, as far as I'm concerned, are managed and publicized by incompetent morons. I think there's such a disparity between like the commercial engine behind Scandal, which is a complete fucking shit show. Sorry, it is. and the band, who deserve so much better. That it doesn't decide. It doesn't. I mean, luckily they've got away from a lot of that, but still, it doesn't surprise me to hear that kind of thing. But yeah, they apparently, I haven't seen this, but I've been told by Scandal fans that they had shows where there was like editing done so much that it was just like it really fucked it up, and it was like apparently someone said there was like auto tune put on one or two of them where they actually auto tune the voices in post. What? It's like you don't expect the voice to be perfect. You just want to see the people you care about singing these songs that you like.
Yeah, I think, like I said, like I touched on before, I think that's where like you draw the line between what the consumer wants or what we accept, but also what the higher ups of, again, the morons want out the DVD. Because at the end of the day, they're the one who distribute the product, make the product, publish it. It's their necks on the line, so it will inevitably, anything that's going to go on a Blu-ray will go through post.
I think so. I don't think it's even that. I think it's actually kind of the opposite. I think it's a degree of a lack of concern. I think that they hand off the recordings to someone to put together, and whereas when it comes to an album, you get like the right mixing people, the right producers. I think when it comes to a live show, they probably don't even hand it to proper music people. They probably just hand it to someone who professionally puts together DVDs and says, "Oh, here's a live show. You know, we don't want to pay much money. Just put it together. It's a live show." And then probably you get someone who's overzealous who jumps in there and starts like making edits. Like, "Oh, I can make this sound better." And it's probably something like that where it's like it's someone who shouldn't be fucking.
Yeah, it very much could be. Like I always think someone's a bit like over zealous and fucking puts way too much post on some DVDs sometimes.
Yeah. You just want to tell them, fuck off.
Yeah, you do. You just want to tell them to like shut the fuck up. Yeah. So for me personally,
talent's on the screen. You fuck off.
Yeah,
get your paycheck by doing nothing. All right.
For me personally, the things I just hate is fake crowd noises, too fast cutting up the camera, and too much post on the mix. I sound so picky when I say all that. Yeah, I need, just checking them up and don't want like this. No,
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I mean, for me, I would say it. I think if I were to describe it, and I think you made a good point about the video. I think I would apply the same rule for video as I do to the audio, which is that I am happy for all forms of levels to be controlled. You want to control the amount of brightness and color in the video, fine. You want to control the volume of things in the audio, fine. I'm okay for, when the crowd are cheering during a song, turn it down, and then after the song, turn it back up. That's fine. Things related to volume, don't mind. But it's the minute you do anything that could be considered a creative decision. Now, obviously, the camera cutting is the hardest one because you have to do that, and it is partially creative. But I agree, it should be done in a somewhat, make it move with the music by all means, but don't try to get artistic. You're not here to do that. You're here to show us the show. Treat it like a documentary.
Exactly. Well, again,
with a rhythm.
This is why I want to touch back on the Band Dream stuff with like Razor Sullivan and Monica and stuff like that, because I feel like they've nailed the formula down really, really well. Probably why I'm more partial now to the slightly longer shots from them. I really do like the longer, wide hands and stuff that they do, which is pretty static, but it is on the girls for a long time, and each member gets like I said 15-20 seconds in some shots, and it's just really nice to see a girls for an extended amount of time instead of it just going.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I like that because you get to see them smile and interact with the crowd and stuff like that if it's a little bit longer, and I like that. I think the DVDs that they do are really, really well produced.
I think you have to have the cutting to a degree because there's so much happening in a song. I think it's hard in any good song to find like a 15-second period where only one person's really doing something.
Cuts are necessary. Cuts are necessary. I just saying I like those. I like those longer shots as well, not just cut.
No, I completely understand. Yeah, I think it depends on the band, the set, what it looks like on the stage.
Sorry, before we touch on it, before you say, what do you feel about like COVID, the whole COVID situation as well? Like, because there was a lot of DVDs and a lot of shows obviously recorded and produced and stuff like that. Like, do you have like any opinion on that one? Like for like, I think crowds and stuff.
This was a massively complex issue that we went over a lot of time in live chats over that period of time. I think if I were to compress my opinions down, I mean, first of all, I thought the whole thing of doing live shows online was brilliant, and I would like that to continue. I don't think it is continuing, but I would like that to continue because I think mostly because selling really cheap tickets to do the occasional live show, maybe once or twice a year, because I think every band has fans who live in places where they can't get to see it, or they just don't have the money. I mean, you could do it free if you wanted to, or you could say, look, we're going to do a show and it's 500 yen, or £3, or, $3 or $2 or $3 or $4. Something which pretty much anyone can afford, someone who's like in college or whatever, they can afford it. And then obviously they can have an almost limitless number of people watching it, so they make plenty of money, won't cost them anything for a venue. And I think that would just be something every band should be doing that. And it was a really lovely thing during COVID because you saw how it brought people together, and I think it would be a lovely thing that they should continue to do for their fans. I know some bands are, and I think I really would hate to see that consigned to history, although it might be associated with like the whole negative time. When it comes to the shows that were done where they basically, and Scandal did one of these, which again we talked about, where they get them on the stage, have them play, but it's basically a full venue with the full show but no audience there. That was fine by me because initially it is weird. It is weird because there's no audience in the crowd. No audience in the crowd. There's no audience there. But after a while, you're just watching the music anyway. It is weird when the song ends and there's silence, but you're still basically the thing you're there for. You enjoy. I think the lack of atmosphere probably means those DVDs probably you might want to knock a little bit off the price, because I hate to say it, but when live, part of it is the audience gives the atmosphere. You want to. And plus, you're thinking about this as a real show. There's I mean, ultimately, I had no problem with that. Again, so long as you feel like you're watching something live. I think some of the bands during that COVID period, it went one of two ways. You've got some bands who they overproduce their live stuff, and you're like, no, just still do it like a live show. Don't you, just because you can overproduce it, don't overproduce it. I mean, then call it studio live session. Then you get some ones like the first one Bandmate. Bandmate actually got it right. After a couple of times, but the very first one they did was the one where it was only a few songs and like the person was going with the camera around the room, and that just sounded awful. I mean, I know like a lot of people really liked it because it felt very earthy and real, but it was almost like, is this even worth doing? Because like the sound seemed to be from, if I remember correctly, I haven't watched it since basically when it came out like 3 years ago or whatever, but it was almost like the sound was coming from the camera. I was like, at least mix the sound in some kind of consistent way, even if it's going to sound like a garage performance, at least I can listen to it without feeling like I'm just watching your home video. But yeah, I think most bands got it right. And by the end of the whole COVID thing, there were some really great, memorable shows, Bandmate included, Scandal included, that we got to see. So yeah, I had nothing against that.
Do you know what the ones I just liked more than the venues being empty was when they allowed crowds back in, but they still had to apply to like COVID rules. So they were seated and they couldn't like cheer or wave or anything like that. And they were like, there was a few, there was like, they couldn't clap or anything. They had to just sit there.
I think they could clap, couldn't they?
So there was one show I remember watching. I can't remember for the life of me. I'm sure somebody in the comments will be like, for fuck's sake, Neon, remember something. It's this show. But it was there was one show we watched, and it was just a crowd, and the crowd couldn't interact. They were like sat in chairs. They couldn't sing, couldn't dance, couldn't do anything. And we just sat there watching this little show.
You get a lot of live shows here where you're sitting in chairs. There's a lot of rock shows.
And it was just eerie as fuck. I found that more disheartening, knowing that there's like a couple of thousand people watching, just sat in the chair not doing anything, than doing the shows with the empty venues.
I think it was Psyche from Bandmate who said on like the Day I've Made interview thing, where she was saying about when they did a live show, the first live show after all of this, she they finished the song, and like some people went to cheer and some people didn't, and the audience looked unsure, and she had to tell them, you can cheer, it's okay to cheer. And the audience started cheering. But there was like a and so, no, you can cheer, and she had to tell them that they could cheer, so they got their confidence back. So bless you, Psyche. But yeah, I know what you mean. That was an awkward phase, and I think that phase is almost like an uneven phase where you don't know, like, okay, like it was one thing when there was no one there, and there's one thing when there's people there, but having people there and keeping the silence is just like, this is the worst of both worlds. I've got a bunch of heads in my camera shot, and I don't have the atmosphere that usually makes that enjoyable.
Do you ever think Japanese bands will one day do what a lot of Western bands are doing right now with the whole Twitch streaming or streaming their concerts. Or do you
Well,
reckon?
I mean, that's kind of what I was saying. Is I think well they did.
No, but
It
I mean
was
like
done.
I mean like that. Like just for example, Matt Heafy from Trivium, like literally he just sticks a laptop in the corner of like the stage and just like streams every concert that he does when he's on tour.
Yeah, I've seen bands do that. I mean, ironically,
Mm.
that when I was at the special thanks gig where I got this shirt,
Flex.
yeah, the drummer as they were setting up there, the drummer literally just got like he had like another, it was like a little phone camera special one, and he just sort of put it up in the lighting rig behind him, pressed record, and he streamed the whole show. And he was streaming it online while we were there. And apparently I was in the shot. I never actually got to see the video back, but a few people told me I was in it, which was great because I was up front, so I should have been there. But yeah, it was like, so I don't think that is uncommon here. I think it does happen. I think to what degree it is official, and I think obviously it's more with smaller bands, because when you get to the bigger bands, then they can't violate their own copyright. Yes, it is their songs, but they write the songs for a record company. There are other business concerns involved who will not want them doing that. So it depends a lot on the company. I mean, like you get like some bands where like Bandmade, where I think they'd be fine to do it. I don't think it would be a problem. You get bands like Scandal where they did it, and they're probably their 200-year-old executives would crawl out of their graves and say, no, the losses, the financial losses. Hashtag free Scandal.
Hashtag free Scandal.
Get free Scandal from whatever the fuck is going on with their representation. But Jesus Christ.
Maybe that's a topic we can talk about for another video. Actually, yeah, the big wigs from Japan.
I'm gonna add one last little story to this. I've told this one on my streams before, so if you've already seen this, then you can put it on mute, but don't end the video because we need that audience retention time in these videos. But yeah, so I went to one of my favorite all-time singer-songwriters is Old Sky. She's got the same birthday as me, and she does a concert every year around her birthday. So kind of like a birthday thing for me is I regularly go to Hibiya Park and see her concert. We got 10 minutes left on our Zoom call. There's the notification. Don't worry, the story won't take 10 minutes. And so I've been to see her birthday show a few times, and I went to this one, I think it was back in 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And she's a multi-instrumentalist singer-songwriter, so she'll switch between different instruments while she's doing the show and things. And this is one song where they bring on the guitar, she picks up the guitar, and then she starts playing this song, and they start the song, and this entire thing, every year this concert is filmed, and starts playing it, and I turned to my friend who was with me, and I just went, that guitar's not in tune. That guitar's really out of tune. And like the song's going on, and like so about halfway through, she just kind of stops it and she's like goes up to the microphone, she's like, yeah, the guitar's out of tune. And she just sort of says to the crowd, it's like, look, we're recording this. Do you mind if we just start this song again? And like so the audience are like, yeah, fine. She goes, gives the guitar back, brings on the other guitar, plays it, great. I was saying, but the DVD comes out, and obviously it's cut perfectly. But this is the thing that I really liked. She put out the footage of the mistake. The footage of the mistake was put out. So it wasn't hidden. They made it very clear. They put it out. But yeah, if you just bought the normal copy of a DVD, it wasn't in there just so you could enjoy the show. But for me, that's kind of
that. I don't know why that wasn't included in the DVD though. Like those are the type of moments that make it funny. Like I know
if you buy the special edition version,
they lock it behind the special.
There's always that. Always that. I believe the special edition version actually includes the
I didn't know the music industry had DLC. Fuck's sake.
Now let me tell you about special editions. Can you imagine being an alien coming to Earth and like learning about music? It's like, special editions, what are those? It's like, do you have money and time? Let me tell you about special editions. And you know what, that could be a conversation for another time. We talk about the weirdest special editions we ever seen.
Yeah, you'll have the standard, the special, the deluxe, the ultra, the ultimate edition,
fan club edition, first press,
the one edition.
Actually, it's so broken by that I pulled the cord out of my headphones. There we go. Anyway, so we'll wrap that up. I thought that was an interesting conversation. So tell us about you're probably already typing furiously in the comments already, but if you're not, then do tell us about like maybe the best or worst concerts you've seen edited. Have you seen any cool mistakes at concerts live that were included in the recordings later? Have you seen any concerts on like DVD or Blu-ray where you thought, oh, they fucked that up, or one where they got it just right and they included everything that made you like the love the live show? What do you think about the differences? All that stuff. You don't need me to tell you what to comment. Comment whatever you're feeling passionate about right now. Remember, like, subscribe, and Neon. There you go. For once, I did the talking stuff.
Oh, well, maybe you'll let me do the intro then one day.
Oh, okay, all right. Neon, you have the exit. I'll just stand back and I'll wave my hands. You've got this, my friend.
So, well, yeah, there we go. We'll switch it up. I'll do the entrance. We'll get Howard to do the
No,
exit.
you've got to do the exit. You
Oh,
know how these end.
right.
You know how these end. Let's go. Let's go.
Don't forget to keep your ears to the east.
Fucking awful, Neon. That's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
terrible.
I'm
I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this. I fucking quit.
Yeah. Fuck off. So I you know what? He's quit, and let's be honest. All the talent on this channel hasn't changed. It's still here.
I'm gonna bottle you from the other side of the well.
You can tell he's English. I'm gonna bottle you.
I'm gonna bottle you. I'm gonna bottle you, son.
I'm gonna bottle you, lad. Yeah, you can take the lad out of England, but you can't take the England out of the
Do you
lad.
know what? This is what happens when you let Neon do the ending. It doesn't.
Yeah. This is what happens. That's just what happens. I say ears to the east, and Howard says he quits and trails off.
Keep your ears to the east.
Fuck off. That was awful. I'm quitting. Fuck this shit. Right. Anyway, it's the end of the show. Like and subscribe. We'll go piss off.
Fuck off or we'll bottle you.
Yeah, everybody fuck off. We'll see you next time.